K-pop has never really been my thing. It's not something that I enjoy, but K-pop Demon Hunters is a global phenomenon swept through everyone's world. And more importantly, my daughters really wanted me to watch it. So I sat down to watch it. I heard that some people loved it as Catholics, some people hated it. I'm going to share my thoughts with you here today. Enjoy. So if you haven't heard of K-pop Demon Hunters, you definitely haven't heard of this medium called YouTube, because if you've been on the internet in the last few months, you have heard of this movie. It had probably played about 100 times in my home before I sat down to watch it. My girls were constantly watching it over and over again. My wife got into this huge K-pop phase a few years ago, and I think that's probably why I revolted against it, just because I hated hearing it all around my house. But the girls were listening to it, and it seemed kind of nice, and I was like, okay, it's been a month or two that y'all been watching this. Let me be a good dad. We sat down last weekend. All the family gathered on the TV. It was our weekend movie, and I watched K-pop Demon Hunters, which just, it seems like such a weird premise, right? Where it's like these pop stars are going to be fighting against demons and trying to protect the world against the underworld, which is a fascinating thing for us because, you know, here we're talking about culture and faith and where they mix. A lot of times when we think of pop music, we think of satanic influence, not necessarily that pop music is the thing that's going to protect us from the underworld. One of the most popular videos, actually the singular most popular video that I've ever posted here on the channel, was about a Sam Smith song called Unholy, and I posted this clip about it, and it's got over 125,000 views here on the channel. It's ridiculous. It's still getting, I posted it years ago, and people keep commenting. They're like, oh, well, this song that came out yesterday is worse. I'm like, guys, you got to read the room. Check the date of the video. It's 3 years ago. But it's this fascination that people have with satanic music and the influence of Satan within pop music. And so I've seen a lot of like Catholic bloggers and radio hosts and podcasters, YouTube people talking about this movie and kind of lumping it in with all of that. And I can sit here and tell you that it's not. Now, there's a couple of moments that kind of get close to it, but overall, the story of this movie is these pop stars using music and using their fame and ultimately using the crowds to protect them from the underworld, to protect them from the evil one, protect them from the demons. It's a fun movie, right? So the first basic premise of this is like, should we just throw out all things demonic as Catholics, just with a blanket, don't even look into it? The answer is no. For all of her generations, but especially like if you think about any art, right? The church is art. And as long as it's not like sacrilegious, like depicting bad things happening to religious figures, that sort of thing, it's like something doesn't have to agree with the catechism to be art, right? And to even be good art. So we can be art critics, we can be faith critics, and we can be critics of art and critics of things in the movie. Like as a piece of art, I love this movie. As a Catholic, I really enjoyed it. Now, were there a few parts that were demonic that made me feel uncomfortable? Yeah, I felt uncomfortable during one specific song, but for the most part, it was fun and a good kids movie that a lot of adults watched as well. So right from the get-go, I had heard the songs. You've all heard the songs. I was a ghost, I was alone. Just as a blanket musician, for those of you that don't know, I have a music degree. I hated all the guys' songs, which were supposed to be the ones that were stealing all the flair from the girl K-pop group. The girl songs were awesome. I loved all of them. The guys' songs, like everybody loves Soda Pop. I hate Soda Pop. That song sucks. Yeah! Right from the beginning of the movie, this woman who is kind of the adult leader of these three young ladies who are in the main K-pop girl band, she says that the world will know you as pop stars, but you will be more than that. And that's when I first started getting this like intrigue into like, oh, like they're trying to use music for good. And as you see, they're singing and they're like physically fighting demons, but also their songs and them playing their songs and through the music is creating this barrier between their world and the underworld that's protecting not just them, but all of humanity, right? And there's these cool fight scenes where they're actually fighting demons, but the biggest thing keeping the demons at bay is this barrier between the underworld and the regular world. And what their goal is to sing songs of courage and hope to fight the demons. And I love that like if we are going to fight demons, we need to be courageous. We need to be bold. We need to have bold faith. But I think one of the big things here, and this is a theme throughout the movie, is hope. And whenever there is a lack of hope, the barrier starts breaking and more demons are coming up and more people are falling to the dark side. But as hope is building up, that's when things are going really well. And I've seen that a lot in my own faith life. Like whenever I am feeling hopeful, like we talk about these three main virtues: faith, hope, and love. When I feel hope dwindling within myself, the rest of those things, faith and love, and the rest of my life seems to start going down with it. So being courageous in these seemingly hopeless situations actually will help us grow in our faith and our walk with God. So they're trying to build this ultimate barrier, the Hanmun, which is just a fun term. But what's interesting is that it's not the musicians themselves that are the key to protecting the world. It's them and their music and their leading people, but it's actually the fans' reaction to their music that actually continues to create and build this barrier. And I thought this was fascinating. Thinking about us as Catholics. It's like, who do we look to as our leaders? The Pope, the bishops, our priests, deacons, sisters, and anybody in vestments, right? But where is the main power of the church, the main numbers in the church is in the laity, right? So we as the laity are kind of like the fans of this music in this movie, where our leaders are the ones like, I can't consecrate bread into the body of Christ. Like we need our leaders. Like clearly these three girls in the movie are important, but it's actually the fans responding to them and enjoying their music that decides where the world's going to go. Because, you know, the boy band comes out and they're all demons and they're trying to win over the crowd. And as the crowd begins to move over to those boys, that's when the barriers start to break and hell is starting to get more of a hold. And it's the spiritual battle, right? This battle for souls of the people. And the main character, Rumi, she's a mix of light and darkness. We don't know exactly why, but she's a human that also has a mix of demon in her, which is kind of like these tattoos, these markings on her body. And this is like a part of her shame, where she is a good person. Like she is one of the people, like she's, you know, like we're not going to call them saints, but they're saintly, right? These faith leaders and leading this battle against evil. And yet she does have this darkness within her. The hope is that whenever the demons are defeated, then those markings will be gone. That part of her will be gone. And so the woman who is kind of the leader of Rumi and these other two girls, she has this quote, says that faults and fears should never be seen, right? So she has to hide this shame, kind of hide her darkness, which at first seems like a good idea. It's like, oh, if you don't want people to know that you're demons, you're a demon hunter. You're fighting against demons. And it's kind of this struggle of like, well, this is who I am, like trying to pretend to be holy, right? And I've seen that a lot in my own faith life. I think when I was in high school, when I was young in ministry, and it even creeps in at points now where it's like, I feel like I have to show to the world that I'm actually holier than I am. And it was probably about, 15 years ago, I had an experience with a youth minister of mine, and I saw him as a full human person. He was a holy man, but he also showed us his flaws. He showed us his weakness. He showed us his doubts. And it's like, that has been a big boon for me in my own personal faith, and also a guiding light for how I want to do ministry. Of like, we don't have to hide the bad parts of ourselves. If we share those things, we're open about them. It's like we're all a mix of light and darkness, right? And hopefully we're constantly going to the light and being drawn to the light of God. But we all know that we are all sinners and fallen short of the glory of God. We all have our pet sins, our favorite vices, and these sorts of things that we go to. And being open and honest about those is actually more helpful than hiding them. We're starting to get into some of these like scary quotes. So, like the demons, like they look nice. They're incredibly good looking. They're great musicians. They're great dancers. People are swooning over them. Here's the quote. It doesn't look like they're going to hurt anyone. Maybe they're nice demons. And it's like, okay, like this is where it starts to get creepy, right? Because like demons don't present themselves as demons often. Like when we are tempted to sin, they make it look like it's a good thing, right? Just like like these demons appear as good-looking young men. They appear as talented young men that can sing and they say all the right things and do all the right things. And that's actually a little bit more dangerous than if, Satan just appears like, worship me, and be like, no, right? But if Satan's like, hey, here's that sin you like, I'd be like, okay, maybe I'll do it, right? Like it's the deception that is actually working against us. There's this moment when the girl K-pop group, the Demon Hunters, are fighting against the boy K-pop group, the Demons. And there's this interesting thing of like, it does kind of look like this Genu guy isn't fully bad, but he's clearly bad and working for the evil one, right? But there's this weird moment where you're like, you assume that the demons are going to do bad all the time. But he notices that the main character has these demon tattoos, these patterns on her arms, and he does this weird thing where he covers them up because he realizes that she's been hiding this thing, and he's like almost intrigued by it. And I guess out of some deep embedded chivalry or trying to do the right thing, he covers this up. So you're at this point in the movie, you're like, does he want to be a hunter? Is there actually some good in him? We're not really sure. He goes back down to the underworld and he meets their version of Satan. And first of all, we hear Satan singing that soda pop song that I can't stand. And hearing Satan sing that song is terrifying, because that's when I thought again about how pop music does play a large part in some demonic and satanic influence. I was going to say these days, but anytime music has been popular. Random aside, the bird and the cat characters are the funniest things one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. That cat, ghost cat thing is just simply one of the greatest characters ever created. I was laughing to high heaven every time that character popped onto the screen. All right, back to the demons. One thing that's mentioned is that all demons do is feel. So if you think about hell, what are the feelings that you have there? It is despair and hatred and feeling bad about yourself and feeling bad about everything. So when the demons they start to whisper into the ears of the humans on earth, there was a guy who was poor and miserable, and he heard the demon saying, you're not good enough. You couldn't help your family, right? So like only focusing on the negative. Brings us back to this theme of hope. Nobody else gets to decide if you feel hope. That's one of the beautiful things about it, that even when things are going bad around you, you can still feel hope. Because one of the things about the theological virtues, faith, hope, and love, they're infused within us and gifts from God. So even if you're in a situation that looks hopeless or can feel hopeless, you can ask God for more hope and he can give it to you. One of these moments in one of the demonic fights that I thought of C.S. Lewis and the Screwtape Letters, which is my favorite book of all time. There are people on the train, and the demons are taking over this train and slowly taking over the souls of the people on the train. It's very creepy. And there's demons surrounding them, and no one notices. No one on the train notices. So the demon hunters are there fighting off the demons. The demons are taking over this train, the people on the train, and people are just sitting there staring at their phones. They're talking to one another. They're reading the newspaper. They don't even notice this spiritual battle going on around them, which is one of the most harrowing moments in the movie, because I think that is actually hitting on something that you and I deal with every day. We don't have, we can't see hordes of demons fighting over our cars and in our homes, but we've all had this moment of like, and it's this moment from the Screwtape Letters where it's like, hey, I don't have to get this man to decide that he's going to be a Satanist on this train. All I have to do is, if he intends to get off at the next stop to go to a church and pray, all I have to do is distract him. I don't have to make him decide that he hates God and that he loves Satan. All I have to do is distract him, with the modern version being most likely our phones, right? Get a ding on your phone. Somebody texts you, you get an email, you get a score alert for the baseball game. You got to go watch it because it's a close game. It's like making that non-conscious choice, and it's just slowly leading you away. And I thought that this culmination of these souls being taken just from not paying attention to the spiritual battle that's quite literally happening right around them was a harrowing moment for me, and a reminder to me that spiritual battle is constantly going on for my soul and for yours. Towards the end of the movie, we get a couple of great quotes. We can't fix it if we never face it. This is after things kind of blow up, and they find out that she's half human, half demon, and they feel, but the other two girls feel betrayed by that. The fans feel betrayed by that. And they come back and say, we can't fix it if we never face it. It's like whenever a problem arises, I find myself doing this a lot. I just let problems fester, either my own problems or like issues that I have with other people, and they boil up, and then ultimately I explode or the situation explodes, right? Where this is a reminder that like if there is an issue, if you face it, well, or if you don't face it, we'll never fix it. It's not just going to go away. We start to get a love story between the leader of the girl K-pop group and the boy K-pop group, and for a moment, the main demon feels hope. And he says, oh, I can't hear his voice anymore. I can't hear Guima, the Satan voice anymore. So he is feeling this pull to the light, this call to the light. So they get so close to saving everyone. And then the demons got to our main character, Rumi. And I thought about this a lot. Like they got so close to the Hanmoon, and then they got to the main person, and then everything fell apart. And it was a reminder to me to pray for our priests and our bishops and our spiritual leaders, because in this spiritual battle, like who is going to be attacked? It's going to be the people who are going to have, if they fall, it's going to have the most effect, right? There have been multiple priests in my lifetime, multiple famous spiritual leaders who have famously fallen through sin or their own moral failure. And that's part of the spiritual battle, right? Where it's like, we need to be praying for our leaders, because it could be this moment of like, there's about to be this great revival and renewal within the church and how the church interacts with the rest of the world. And then something bad happens and like that momentum gets lost. So as you're getting close to a spiritual breakthrough, even on a personal level, like thinking about like big moments in your own spiritual life, like going to mass on Sunday, or even like people, I talk about this a lot with people coming into the church. Like whenever you're coming into the church at Easter time, like be prepared for some spiritual battle. For young people who are going through confirmation, first communion, be prepared for some spiritual battle, because those big moments are most likely going to be attacked. There was one specific fear that the demon was just kind of whispering into the ear of one of the girls in the K-pop group. And I connected with it so much because I feel like this all the time. It was this inner voice, this demonic inner voice saying, you're too much and not enough. And I was like, man, that hits me, because I feel that a lot. It's like people think you're too much and yet you're not enough. And it's just like, you're loud, you're boisterous, you're all these things, and yet you're not doing enough. And it's like that push and pull of like, am I doing too much? Am I doing too little? That was just a cool little personal reflection for me that I thought I'd share with you. So towards the end of the movie, there's this theme of self-sacrifice to save other people. We get our main character, Rumi, where she is willing to sacrifice herself to save the protection for everybody else. So she has this moment where she can essentially give up her life, and it's going to create the Hanmoons, and everybody will be saved. Things happen, and there's this moment that comes straight out of scripture, which is fascinating to hear in a movie like this. And it's like, oh, you wanted to save the world, you can't even save yourself. That's quite literally a quote from Golgotha, like where Jesus was crucified. It's like, oh, you thought you were going to be the savior, Jesus. You thought you were going to be the Messiah. You can't even save yourself. Get on down from that cross, right? And so that was a pretty cool connection, and kind of even though this movie isn't our religion, right? It was a cool connection and nod to Jesus and our faith. And then finally at the end, the main bad guy, Jinu, he was finally selfless and was sacrificing himself. And he offers essentially fixing the main sin that he had done earlier in the movie, that we find out in a flashback, is that he chose himself and his own needs over that of his family. And at the end of the movie, he does the opposite, and he offers up himself as a sacrifice to save everybody else. And okay, now that can be weird. Like, we know theologically that demons can't be saved; they made their choice, right? But the connection that was really driven home for me is somebody who has this balance of light and darkness within them. And even for him, if it was mostly dark and just a little bit of a hint of light, that even somebody like that can have redemption. There's just a powerful story. And we talk about a Catholic worldview, right? And that's what this whole series is about. It's like, I have heard people say about in these videos before, it's like, oh, you're projecting too much of your faith onto these shows. It's like, that's literally the point. I'm trying to do that, right? I'm trying to see what is true, good, and beautiful in art, even if it's not Catholic art, right? But what lessons can I take from this? It's all youth ministry in me, right? Like if I was a youth minister, I would have done this talk at a youth group the weekend after the movie got super popular, right? Of trying to find things that are already connecting with people and connecting them to our faith. I was just at a Bible study last night, and we were talking about how St. Paul was talking, he was preaching, and he found out that these people had been worshiping an unknown God. And instead of walking in and being like, oh, you're so stupid, you're worshiping the wrong God, he simply says like, oh, this unknown God that you've been worshiping and praying to this whole time, I know him. Here's who he is. And he tells them about the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob, Jesus, right? He invites them in to this thing. And he's like, look, you've already been so close. Just take that next step, right? So ultimately, I really enjoyed the movie. The songs have been stuck in my head for quite some time, except for those stupid boy songs. I don't like those boy songs, but I've listened to the girls ones with my girls. It's been fun. It's been it's a little bit out of like my normal comfort zone, but cool, fun movie overall. I enjoyed it. If you enjoyed it, please let me know in the comments. If you didn't enjoy it, let me know in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your favorite songs, any questions you have, and let me know what other shows, movies you would like us to cover here on our A Catholic Perspective series. If you enjoyed this video, there are multiple other ones that'll pop up here in a second. You can go watch. Thanks for being here. God bless. See you later. Bye.